Good afternoon. I don't know what to do. I've never done this before. So, I'd like to start off by thanking a few people. First of all, I'd like to thank my family, my wife, Lori, who has been with me the whole 39 years. And my son, Robbie's back there. He's coached with me. My sister came over from Valpo. She's here. My daughter-in-law. And my two grandkids are both here. I'd like to thank them and what they meant to me in my life. I think I got my whole family. My son, Mark, who coaches in Maryville. The next group I'd like to thank is my coaching staff. And Coach James is up here. Coach Stevens. Are there other coaches here? Coach Schoaf. I think that's all that's here. Coach Sleeva used to be on our staff. Coach Jasinski, new to our staff this year. You can't do this job by yourself. You got to have good assistants, and I've been blessed over my 39 years as a coach to be involved with good people. And I've been at LaPorte for 22 years, and I've only served under two athletic directors. And I'd like to recognize the athletic director behind me, Dave Parcell, who was here when I was here earlier, or when I first was hired at LaPorte, and of course Ed Gilliland, who's been here the last, Ed, 13, 17, 18 years. And just thank them a ton, and our principal, Ben Tonigo, who's only been here 2 years, but he went through this process as a player, getting to the Final Four, and their help has been immeasurable through this whole process. And of course, sneaking in the door right now is our superintendent, Mark Francisconi. I want to thank those people because they help make my job a lot easier. And of course, the players that are here. Geez, oh Pete, you can't do this job without players. And I'll tell you what, we got some awful good young men and women here at LaPorte High School. And I'm really pleased they're here. And, I looked at the back room, and when I talk about players, when I first came to LaPorte in 1993, my first quarterback, and he's standing back there, Wade Warner. And I appreciate him being here. So with that being said, I don't know how these things roll. You guys are the reporters, and you're going to ask the questions. But I've had 39 wonderful years in coaching, and I played for 11. And this was my 50th year. I was just talking to my son's father-in-law in the other office. I said, the last time I had a summer off was 1964, and that's quite a while ago. So, with that being said, I'll entertain any questions that anybody might have. Well, I talked about it last year. When we went through Jake passing, that was devastating, and that that happened on my watch, and that was very tough for me to handle, and all our coaches and our players. And then right after the year, about a month after our season was over, or 2 weeks after the season was over, my brother passed away, and then 2 months later, my nephew passed away, and then I was in the hospital in the spring, and I was just thinking during that time that, maybe it's time. Maybe it's just time to just do other things. And I had talked to my family last Christmas and met with them, all the kids and my wife, and we talked about it. I said, I think this is going to be my next year. I'll stay one more year. And I told our seniors the other day, I said, I couldn't leave them with what had happened last year. I had to finish it out with them because we were in it together. Our motto last year was all in. And our motto this year was count on me. And I just felt that I owed that to them and wanted to be with them through the rest of their high school career. So I had decided this, and I know a lot of people said, well, you're going out because you got to the state finals. And that's not it at all. This decision was made, and that just made it a little sweeter here at the end. So it was something that I had been contemplating, and I'd talked with my wife about it many times. And probably the only bad thing is I'm going to be home in her, bugging her more often. But other than that, I just feel it's the right time. They always say you feel when it is, and it just feels like this is the right time.
Without the Jake West situation, that extraordinary situation, the day-to-day ups and downs, how did you navigate 22 years here of ups and downs?
Well, I think you got to have a good support staff, and you got to have people you can lean on. And I had that. I was very fortunate. Obviously, none of the coaches that when I first came here are still here. But, some of them, Coach James has been with us 20 years. Coach Stevens has been with us, Coach, 17 17 years. So those guys have been constant. Coach Myers has been with me probably 18 of those years. And it's just a constant. We don't have a big turnover in coaches in our program. And I think it's, we're very close-knit, and that's how it got through. Now, some of it's very frustrating. There were many nights I would go home and not talk and not say anything. And my wife knew things didn't go well. And, that's just how I handled things. But it was being able to go home, and my son would come over and we'd talk football or whatever it might be. So, and a lot of us keeping it on the inside. You do that as a coach. As a head coach, you don't have a lot of people you can go to. But in this job, there's good and there's bads and there's peaks and valleys, and we've told our kids that in ball games. You got to just overcome those things. So you got to kind of practice what you preach and be an example of that. So that's how you get through it. And I think the thing that happened to me with the big thing, no matter how down I was, no matter how mad I would get when I'd go out on that practice field, when I was with the kids, when I was with our young athletes, that's what kept you going. Those are the guys you wanted to be out with and getting through this thing.
Coach, have you made a decision coming into this year, and with this season happening, with the state title run and Charles's season on the ground? How did that feel for you as a coach to be a part on your last?
Well, I've had 4 days to look back on that, and you didn't have any time. Everybody says take a minute and enjoy it. It's really hard to do that because you're so busy. As our coaches we were terribly, terribly busy. Looking back now and saying, and you said, the year Charles had, and it was a tremendous year. We've never had a kid that has had that many yards as a running back. But I look at our defense, how our defense progressed, and how good they really were, and people don't give them enough credit. I've said it all year long. Charles is good, but our offensive line, there were just so many things that fell in place with our whole team. And now you look back and you say, boy, what a way to go out. This is fantastic. Not many people get to go out like this. Not many people get to choose when they go out, number one. And I'm very fortunate. I remember back, and we just talked about this the other night with my wife. I said, when I made the choice to come to LaPorte from South Central, I said, hey, we got to do things right here. We got to get it going, or I could get fired and I could be out of a job. And she said, well, if that happens, it happens. Well, I said the other night, I said, hey, we made it, and that never happened. So that was a good thing. So I mean, you just rely on other people, and you rely on your good kids, your leadership of your teammates, of the athletes, and you get out with them and you get after them. But yet it's a joy to be with those, and I think that's how you get through it.
Do you see yourself really disconnecting from the program, or do you think you'll always kind of be involved?
Well, I'm always going to be a slicer. I got too many black and orange clothes. I don't know if, I'll always be a satellite. I mean, my heart was with those two schools. I've got 39 years of teaching, and I've only been at two schools, 17 at one and 22 at the other. There'll always be a part of me here. My son still coaches here. We still live in this town. You become enthralled in what we're doing. Will I ever leave this football program? In my heart, no. I'm not going to be around here every day. Well, I think the new regime needs their space, but. I may be sitting out in a car in the middle of a cemetery watching with binoculars or something, but I'll never leave it in my heart. It'll always be a part of me, and it'll be something that I'll never forget.
Any idea what you'll miss most about the job?
The thing I miss the most are the kids, are the athletes. We're in the kid business. We want to put everything in wins and losses on this level. We're not pros. We're not college guys making $3-4 million a year as coaches. We're in the kid business, and that's what I'm going to miss the most. I'm going to miss seeing those kids every day. I miss them right now. I miss seeing the team we just left Saturday night, because that's what drives you. That's what makes you want to work. That's what makes you want to come to school. That's what makes you want to come to football practice, and that's what I'll miss the most. The second thing I'll miss is the competition. I love going in and doing practice. I love laying that out. I love getting the plans and working with the coaches. And the third thing I'm going to miss the most is the camaraderie of all the coaches all over. I've been so fortunate to get such great emails and phone messages. I don't text, and I don't do this stuff on phones, but what I've heard from other coaches, I have great respect for our coaches and our associations and all the coaches, and I miss that. I'll miss going to clinics. I miss seeing those people. Those are things that you can't replace. And but those are the things that I'll miss the most.
If you've got a 25-year-old kid somewhere who's been an assistant for 3 years, who's in line to get his first head coaching job, what advice do you give him about being a head coach?
You better have tough skin. You better be able to let things roll off your back. And I'm not always the best at that, but you're going to be criticized a lot. Coaching is one job where everybody knows your job better than you, okay? And you got 3,000-4,000 fans that are critics up there on game night, and you better have tough skin. When you lose and you walk around town, sometimes people aren't real friendly, and then when you win, all those same people are your best buddies. So you got to understand that. You got to understand that coaches are going to come and go, and families are going to come and go, and it all changes with the demographics of what your staff is and what you're doing. So you better be organized, you better have tough skin, and you better rely on your coaches. This is a sport where if you don't rely on your coaches and let them coach, I think you'll sink. And I've been very fortunate enough that I've had coaches that I can turn things over to and get the job done. And I think, too, you got to have a strong family. And I think you guys have heard this all before. You better marry the right girl. You better have a good wife because you're gone a lot. They go through the wins and losses with you, and that's a huge part.
Coach, with knowing this was going to be the last year, how emotional was it when you would know, okay, this was the last training camp, this was the last two-a-days, and knowing that each thing was kind of the end of something?
Well, I tell you what, on the way home from Notre Dame the other night, I rode that yellow school bus, and I thank God that's the last time I got a ride on one of them yellow school buses. But, it was tough during the year because I knew things were going to be the last thing. And what's hard is when coaches are saying, well, next year we got to do this, and you're saying, yeah, this kid's got to do this, and no, it's not going to be there for me to do that. And it's real tough. But I think you're so busy and you're so focused on what's coming, you can't look back. You never can look back. You review things and move on because that next game's here right now, and there's no looking back. So you got to keep moving forward and have a plan to do that. So I didn't do a lot of that. I might have did that at night when I couldn't sleep, laying in bed at night. But you can't look back. You got to keep looking forward in this business.
I noticed you didn't mention the missing the media in your top three there.
Well, I said for years the two things I wouldn't miss were yellow school buses and the media, but I didn't think this was the right time to say that. I do want to thank the media. The media over the years has been very, very fair to me. Have I had my problems with some? Absolutely. Are there some I don't care to talk to? Absolutely. But obviously you're not in that room because we wouldn't let you in. But we wouldn't have sent you an invitation. But the media has been very fair to me over the years. Boy, you talk about being bashed by the media down there at the state finals, talking to guys and questions. But I can walk away from this feeling that I felt I've treated the media fair. I've always given them time. I've always let them into our practice. Shoot, Jim, you ought to get a letter jacket this year. You've been around here so much, But that's a great thing, and you guys got a job to do, and I know a lot of people don't agree with what you do. So I know that's part of the job, and that's another thing when you talk about advice to another person. The next person is you're going to have to deal with the media, and sometimes that's tough. But after going through with the media last year with what all happened, this year's kind of been a cakewalk.
What are your what are your retirement plans?
What am I going to do when I retire? Well, I hope Bob James can come over and help me fix my roof, because that I haven't got the leaves out of my yard yet. But I don't know. I'm going to go to games. I still have a son coaching here. I've got a son that's a head baseball coach at Maryville. I've got a daughter that coaches volleyball down in Indianapolis. I've got a son that's a big wheel with the Omni Hotel chains. I'd like to travel. He can put me up. And I got a son just getting out of college. So we still got our hands full, and I'm sure my wife's got things for me to do that I haven't done. And I've always said I don't have time for those. I'm in football, but I can't use that excuse anymore. So I'm sure we'll fill that void with something. I don't know. It's untraveled ground for me.
Now, I heard a story about a goose at Whispering Pines that you may have named.
I don't think I did that, but I don't know who might have told you that, but that did happen at Whispering Pines. There was a goose that had a little rough time walking, but I'm not admitting to that. Anything else? Good, nobody? All righty, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming over here today, and if you got something you want to say afterwards, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And I appreciate everybody coming here today from the school, the coaching staff, the administration, players. It's been a great run for me, and I've enjoyed it tremendously. And hopefully, I can live a lot more longer to see what goes on in football around here and enjoy it. But thank you very much. Thank you.